President Trump ends DEI and ushers in merit-based hiring and common sense. D.C. detention centers slow play the release of January 6th prisoners. Plus, border czar Tom Homan is not messing around. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is the 13-Minute News Hour.
And God bless the United States of America.
Good evening, friends, and welcome to the 13-Minute News Hour. We're going to start with President Trump and his promise to bring an end to DEI, or diversity, equity, and inclusion programs across the federal government. In Trump's inaugural address, the president made it clear that this was a priority.
I will also end the government policy of trying to socially engineer race and gender into every aspect of public and private life. We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based.
For someone like me who grew up in an America that emphasized a colorblind society and the great American melting pot, Trump's words were like a breath of fresh air after years of racial and gender politics, which focused on division rather than unity, quotas rather than merit. Oh, and Trump also pledged an end to the nonsense of a million genders.
As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
The president certainly didn't take long to deliver on this promise. On Tuesday, his first full day in office, Trump issued an executive order ending illegal discrimination and restoring merit-based opportunity. The executive order starts by noting that we have civil rights laws on the books designed to protect people from discrimination. Trump then adds, illegal DEI and DEIA policies not only violate the text and spirit of our long-standing federal civil rights laws, they also undermine our national unity, as they deny, discredit, and undermine the traditional American values of hard work, excellence, and individual achievement in favor of an unlawful, corrosive, and pernicious identity-based spoil system. Hardworking Americans who deserve a shot at the American dream should not be stigmatized, demeaned, or shut out of opportunities because of their race or sex. Trump called out the cases that we have witnessed where Americans were put in danger because people were hired for particular jobs based on gender or skin color rather than their ability to actually perform the job. The executive order then revokes a number of previous measures that established DEI policies, and it encourages the private sector to end illegal DEI discrimination and preferences. Here's more.
In a call with reporters Monday, one incoming Trump official says it will direct the Office of Management and Budget personnel to end illegal mandates preferences. They said it is limited to federal government employees, of which there are 3 million. But we have already seen a shift with some big companies moving away from these practices. Walmart, Meta, Amazon, even McDonald's is reportedly moving away from this.
This is such a good move, and it puts America back on the path that it was on when I was growing up. Race relations were improving year after year because the focus was put on being an American. After all, we are a country with its own culture and values. And yet the left wants to tear that down by pitting different groups against each other so that we have chaos rather than a national identity. Great move by President Trump. All right, next let's talk about the January 6th prisoners. But first, if you're new to the show or haven't subscribed yet, regardless of platform, just search out my name, hit that subscribe button, make sure notifications are turned on. That way you can follow the show and help us grow. President Trump delivered on another promise to all of those who were targeted by Biden's Justice Department for actions on January 6th. In his pardon of some 1,500 January 6th prisoners, Trump ordered their immediate release, but some in the D.C. prisons are still languishing. And we'll get to that in just a minute. Here's Trump.
First, we have a list of pardons and commutations relating to events that occurred on January 6, 2021.
Okay, and how many people is this?
I think this order will apply to approximately 1,500 people, sir.
So this is January 6th. These are the hostages. Approximately 1,500 for a pardon.
Yes.
Full pardon.
Full pardon or commutations?
Full pardon. We have about 6 commutations in there where we're doing further research.
It's truly a shame what happened to these people. Some were literally just walking around the Capitol, even having doors opened for them by Capitol Police. Yet they were targeted and persecuted. Here's Christopher Worrell offering his comments on his release.
It was the most bizarre thing I ever went through in my whole life, obviously, but I gotta thank our Lord, all the people in this country that supported us, and for 4 years, it's amazing. I think, of course, our president, I knew he'd hold his promise as long as he got in there. And
just amazing. But here's what's infuriating. Upon signing the executive order, many of the prisoners were immediately released. They were back at home that night. And yet, the facilities in Washington, D.C. continued to hold January 6 prisoners despite the executive order. This is the prison system where numerous reports have come out on poor treatment, solitary confinement, and just plain abuse of the prisoners. Here's Congressman Eli Crane on the situation.
They had released 211 prisoners that had, involvement in January 6th, and so this is the one place that we're still waiting on, the J6 prisoners to be released.
So 200. So basically, they've been released across the country. They've been released everywhere else. This is the only facility that.
According to the U.S. Marshal that I just spoke to 30 minutes ago, that's what he said. He said, 211 other prisoners around the country, and these ones are outstanding.
Congressman Crane was asked about the fact that the D.C. facilities were the only ones that had still not released prisoners per President Trump's order. Here's more.
Do you make anything of that? The fact that this is the only location that's still holding?
Honestly, it really doesn't surprise me based on, some of the local elected officials here. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a little bit of a tug of war or some stall tactics going on, but you can look out there, Ben, these people, they're not swayed anyway by stall tactics. They just want to see the right thing done, and they're not going to leave until it happens.
It turns out that a judge was refusing to sign the paperwork to release the prisoners. It wasn't a processing glitch or red tape. It was a simple case of arrogance and defiance. Now, despite Joe Biden's preemptive pardon of all those on the January 6th committee, justice still needs to be done. That committee was corrupt, destroyed evidence, and conducted a witch hunt. The truth needs to come out. All right, next, the first steps to securing our border are well underway as Border Czar Tom Homan wastes no time in beginning to identify and apprehend criminal illegal aliens. The border was one of the top issues during the 2024 election cycle, and it's an issue that transcends party and politics. Rank-and-file Democrats, Republicans, and independents cited the border as a top concern. Contrast that sentiment with the actions of the Biden administration and Democrat officials, and you see a major reason why the Democrats lost. They're simply out of touch with the American people. Tom Homan, on the other hand, knows exactly what President Trump wants and what the American people want, and he is hard at work to get the border secure and the criminals out of the country.
The last 24 hours, total apprehensions on the southwest border, 766. Compare that to the 10 to 12,000 Biden had at one time. CBP-1 releases, 0. CHNV, Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuela releases, 0. Total of 766 across the entire southwest border. That is a game changer.
Just incredible. The word is out. There's a new sheriff in town. Biden's border app was dismantled, and people crossing the border know that if they try, they'll get caught. So what's the plan for people inside the country? Homan was asked about the plan for ICE and its mandate to keep the country safe and administer law and order.
What would a person have to do to get a visit from ICE?
For it to be in the country illegally, first of all, there's nothing in the immigration law that says you got to be convicted of a serious crime to be removed under the INA. So if you're in the country illegally, ICE can visit you. But right now, as we said repeatedly, and the President Trump's been clear, we're concentrating on the worst first, the public safety threats and national security threats. And just yesterday, in the last 24 hours, ICE arrested over 308 serious criminals. Some of them were murderers, some of them were rapists, some of them raped a child, some were sexual assault of a child.
The worst first. That's the plan. And you can bet with Homan and Trump at the helm, this is going to get done. During the interview, Homan was asked about sanctuary cities that continue to defy orders to work with ICE. These governments refuse to hold criminal illegal aliens. They just release them so that more crimes can be committed. Homan addressed these actions and pointed out the common sense reasons, let alone the legal ones, to work with ICE.
And look, the sanctuary cities, I've said this many times, it led us into the jail where it's safer for an agent to arrest a bad guy. It's safer for the bad guy to be arrested in jail. And it's safer for the community. And when you release a public safety threat back in the community, that puts the community at great risk of crime, and it puts our officers at great risk, because now they got to arrest the bad guy in his turf who has access to who knows what weapons, and it puts the public at risk. You know, for God's sakes, these sanctuary cities, you know, let us into your jail. We're just trying to help.
We've seen the pushback from residents in blue cities demanding that the illegal alien problem be addressed. It's not just about funds and fairness and following the law. It's about public safety, and Americans should always come first. And next, here's some rapid-fire headlines from around the country. As reported by the Washington Free Beacon, the State Department has now implemented a one-flag policy which bars U.S. outposts at home and abroad from flying any other flag other than the American flag. The newly issued order effectively bans American facilities from displaying flags affiliated with left-wing movements, including the Pride and Black Lives Matter flags that flew over U.S. government buildings under Biden. Exceptions to the one flag policy are the traditional flag for POW MIAs and the wrongful detainees flag. Next, it turns out that up until this week, Vice President J.D. Vance had never been inside the Oval Office. So, during his first visit, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson decided to capture the occasion on video.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. Margo? Hey, Margo. Good to see you. Good to see you, too. Wow.
This is J.D. Vance's first time to step into the Oval Office.
Wow.
It's incredible.
This is incredible.
That's just priceless. And finally, we have Democrat Mayor of Philadelphia, Sherelle Parker, who, during a press conference, managed to botch the spelling of Eagles, the city's beloved football team. Instead of saying E-A-G-L-E-S, Parker said,
"Well, listen, we've got to do this. Let me hear you all say E-L-G-L-E-S, Eagles! Let's go, Birds!"
So, E-L-G-L-E-S spells Elgless? Democrat leadership in action. Friends, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. And remember, today's show's one sheet is available to Patreon supporters using the link in the description. The one sheet gives you the links to all the videos and stories used on today's show, so you can dive even deeper into each issue. And with that, our next show will be Friday evening at the usual time. Until then, I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour. All right, friends, thanks again for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button above. Once you do, tell your friends, share it, spread the word about the 13-minute news hour so we can keep growing. And for more great content, check out these videos right here, and I'll see you next time.